Welcome back to another action figure review. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new 6th Doctor and TARDIS set, which is based on its appearance in... Well, it's not actually based on anything. Some fans have just gathered that the TARDIS is just based on its appearance in the TV series, whereas the 6th Doctor isn't actually based on his TV appearance at all. But more on him in a bit. So before looking at the actual contents of the set, let's look at the colourful cardboard that entombs these dollies. As ever, the figures are housed in this brand new white style guide with the TARDIS down the side and the new Doctor Who logo, as well as this new yellow glowing vortex that surrounds the figures. As stated, the colour is meant to represent each Doctor, so the yellow is for the 6th Doctor, which again looks very nice. On the back you have some information about the 6th Doctor himself, as well as a little anniversary stating that it's been over a decade and a half since the first 6th Doctor figure was released, as well as it being over 7 years since the last figurine was released in the 13 Doctor set. The backdrop itself is the same on the other two sets, which is this brilliant blue vortex, which looks like it's going to be the norm from now on. Not that it's a complaint, but it is a slight shame that we won't be getting those beautiful backdrops anymore like we did in previous years. It's still nice nonetheless though. Opening up the set, both the Doctor and the TARDIS look amazing, so let's actually begin with the 6th Doctor himself. So taking a look at the figure, he looks amazing. So there's probably a lot of you thinking, well, what the hell is he based on? I've never seen this look before in my life, as it is a pretty obscure version of the 6th Doctor. So basically, this is actually based on a stage outfit that he wore for a Doctor Who play that was produced in the 1980s, the very late 1980s, written none other by Terence Dix. Originally, John Pertwee played the Doctor in this stage play, but because he fell ill, we had Colin Baker later down the line, and instead of having his original look, they decided to spruce it up a bit and they gave him a whole new outfit. So there are many reasons. Apparently there are several on Colin Baker's website. Other costumers have stated otherwise. But the one I like to believe is the fact that the reasoning they changed it was because of the harsh stage lights, because of his costume being ever so thick. The coat itself was apparently made out of much lighter fabrics, so this was the reasoning for that. But also apparently Colin also wanted to update the outfit itself, so that's apparently the reason there. I quite like it. I know some are a bit disappointed because, you know, there's versions from the TV series we haven't got, but there you go, it's still a nice figure. So actually taking a look at the paint decors on the outfit, the coat itself is very similar to what we've seen on previous 6th Doctors, yet it's very colourful, it's very patchy, and there's several different components to add to this figure. So with the collar, the back belt, the pockets, as well as the cuffs, have this lovely black and white diamond motif. I believe there was a few more colours on the actual coat itself, but trying to replicate that would be very impossible on such a small scale. You also have this lovely purple on the lapels and on different panels of the coat. Again, very, very nice to see. You've also got this lovely baby blue and a very nice vibrant red added to the coat as well. And it's just extremely detailed throughout the coat itself. Like I said, it's very reminiscent to his TV costume, but just slightly toned down a bit. The waistcoat itself, again, is very colourful. The base coat itself is white with all these different coloured stripes going along, with the buttons themselves being this gold colour. You also have the green chain, as seen on the earlier versions of the 6th Doctor. And you also have this turquoisey blue cravat with the question marks being present on his shirt. Sadly, there is no frilly cuffs because on the onstage counterpart, he did have a shirt very close to what John Pertwee had. I imagine that would have been a hassle just to resculpt the arms, just to add that little component. Again, I'm not really too bothered because it's not very noticeable, especially on some of the photos. If it really bugs you, you could probably add them onto yourself. I've seen many customizers do that before, especially before this figure was released. Then moving down to the trousers, they too are quite close to what we saw on the on-screen counterpart, but this time they're very muted. There's less black stripes going down, and you also have dark yellow stripes going down as seen on the actual fabric on the actual garment itself. And then taking a look at the boots, they are no longer green, and this time being this sort of brownish burgundy colour, which does look quite close. I mean, I've only ever looked at some of the photos. Some people argue to say it's more of an orangey colour from what I've seen on social media, but I'm going to probably say this is probably the correct part, as that is what is depicted on some of the photos. And then taking a look at the thing that I should have started off with, which is the head sculpt. Now, this has raised a few eyebrows because of what they've done here. Now, you may not be able to notice on camera, but I can certainly notice in hand that the head itself hasn't actually been painted, apart from certain elements such as the hair, the eyes, and the eyebrows, and I believe the lips, from what I can see. So the reasoning behind this, I think it's just a way to save money, considering how many paint elements are on this costume. It is a very costly figure to produce, and it's not actually the first time they've done this. They have done this in the past with previous releases of Doctor Who figures, especially in the Series 3 lineup. You had that with the Master, I believe one of the Doctors as well, but it is nice to see it here. I would argue that it's a lot better now than it was back in 2007 and /8. I'm all for it, to be fair, as the sculpt itself has never looked so good. You can actually see all the detailings here, like the sort of wrinkles around the nose and on the chin, as well as the hair being extremely detailed, with the blonde highlights going across all the curls and the darker wash to extenuate the sculpt. It just looks fantastic. So, to be fair, like I said, it is not the first time that they've done this with the skin sculpts, and to be fair, if they decided to go with this later on, I wouldn't be too bothered, considering there's other toy lines that have started doing this, or have done this for a while. A major example is the Star Wars Black Series figures, and you know what, in regards of some of the lineups we've had in previous years, I'm all for it if the head sculpt is being muted because of the paint. I think this is the way to go. Still a lovely figure nonetheless. I love the fact that we've got something from spin-off media, especially from this play, because it's such a weird reference to go by, because not many people know about the Ultimate Adventure, and it's just a nice costume nonetheless. It's a crime really that he never actually wore this on TV. Articulation wise for the 6th Doctor, the head can turn from side to side, the arms can do a 360 turn, as well as his biceps. You have a 90-degree bend at his elbows, as well as having movement at his wrists. The waist can move, but is hindered by the coat, as well as having a 360-degree turn at the thighs, finishing off with a 90-degree turn at the knees. So moving on to the TARDIS, what can I actually say about this, which has not really been said before? It's the same sculpt than what we've seen in previous 80s TARDISes. You know, they've just spruced it up a little bit, made it a little bit dirtier, just to class it as a variant. I know it's naughty, but I think this one has to be one of my favourites they've produced thus far in the B&M range, because the sheer amount of detail they've added onto this just looks superb. A lot of fans have sort of estimated that because this isn't based on the Ultimate Adventure, because that box was abysmal, this looks like it's meant to be based on season 22, especially in the promo images where it's got all the white splots of paint or the scratches or whatever. I think that's what fans are speculating, because this isn't actually classed as an Ultimate Adventure set, and even though, like I said, the TARDIS isn't based on the stage prop, you would think, well, if they did base it off there, then certain elements would have been used, like the paint decals, like the white window frames, because that's what the stage prop had, blacked out signs and whatnot. You know, it hasn't happened here, so this does look more similar to what was seen on his TV appearance. So the base colour, again, it's a very dark blue, very similar to the one we've got with the 5th Doctor's TARDIS, but because I haven't got that to hand right now, I do believe this one is ever so slightly darker from what I've seen in other people's photos. The windows themselves are a slight darker colour from what we've seen in the past, with them being sort of this orangey pink colour, almost like a salmon pink, with the pebble glass being or more of a yellow colour. The roof signs are very similar to what we have seen in the past, but this time they've been dirtied up along with the rest of the box. You've also got the same lamp that's been seen on many of the 80s TARDISes that we've seen beforehand. And then you've got the pull to open sign that is very detailed there. It looks slightly different to what we've seen in the past yet again. And then for some reason this time we've got the keyhole and the handle being the sort of coppery colour, which I don't really understand because it wasn't like that in the show at the time. I feel like they should have just left it blue. But again, it's not a complaint. It is very nicely detailed and depicted in that bronze, and it does stand out quite well. Like I said, the whitewash over the top just looks amazing. It's one of those things that it's never going to be the same on each box that is produced. It could be different. You could have more on there, for example, or you could have less. I've seen ones that have barely got any wash over it, but with mine I feel like there was a healthy amount on there. It doesn't look too over the top, because I did have a feeling that, oh, maybe I'll have to wash it back a bit and just try and remove it a lot, because it happened with the third Doctor TARDIS I had from 2018, I want to say, the Time Monster variant. I wasn't a massive fan over that, so I did wash it back a bit because it just looked too over the top. Sadly, the box itself doesn't have any electronics, which is a shame considering we did last year with the David Bradley set. Again, I understand because there's probably a cost measuring thing and they thought, well, the money could be spent elsewhere, which again is understandable. And then taking a look at the door mechanism, it is pretty much the same that what we've seen on every other TARDIS. The door on the right is spring-loaded, so when you push it back, it clicks into place. And the door on the left is sort of loose, so you can pose it any way possible. And to close the doors again, you just pull the left one forward, and then the one on the right is activated by pressing the button on the base, closing it shut completely. Well, to wrap things up, this set is a wonderful welcome to the lineup. It's absolutely brilliant that we now have a 6th Doctor TARDIS to go on the shelf with all the other figures from his tenure. I mean, if you're like me, it's nice that we have every TARDIS for each classic Doctor now, if you were able to collect the 6th Doctor TARDIS back in the day. Although to finish the lineup, it would be cool if we do eventually get an updated variant of the 7th Doctor's TARDIS in the future. The 6th Doctor is also a welcoming variant, as I do like to see stuff from spin-off media, and this one has gone above and beyond, as I never thought in a million years they would actually base an action figure on a stage play. So I'm kind of hoping that we will see a Pertwee variant sometime in the future. I know a lot of people were hoping for the season 23 version with the red cravat and waistcoat, which is odd because I'm surprised we haven't got that yet. We've had the Vervoids version, so why not the red one? But overall, it's a nice figure nonetheless. So thank you all for watching. I hope you found this review very captivating, and hopefully I will be back in the near future for more action figure reviews. Oh, by the way, the second wave has been announced. Bye!